Hello, all. Thank you for joining us again on the Almost Brothers podcast. Hey, will you do us a favor? If this podcast has meant something to you and encouraged you, will you consider becoming a monthly supporter? You could do $3, $5, $8, or $10 a month. What this does is this helps financially support the podcast so that we can continue to put out content and help better serve you. So if you would, down in the show notes, you can click the link, support, and become a monthly member. We love you. New episode coming your way.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to a brand new episode of the Almost Brothers podcast. On today's episode, we're going to be talking about how to begin something. You feel called to do something, but you have no idea where to even go or step in. You know, maybe it's spiritually, maybe it's physically, maybe it's something going on in your life, but where to even start? Coming up. What's up, everybody? And thank you for joining us yet again on this brand new episode. Jeremiah, how are you doing?
Man, I am doing good.
Blessed. You just got off work.
Yes, I did.
Working, man.
Paying the bills.
I was off today. Martin Luther King Jr. Day.
Oh.
Beautiful thing.
What'd you do to celebrate it?
I came up here to the church to work. It's off at school, so come up here to work. But I start at Clarkton tomorrow, so I'm pretty excited. Yeah, yep. That's Jeremiah's phone going crazy. Right? Good Lord, the vibration on that thing. Blow the speakers out. Man.
Wow.
Do you need to take that?
That was my father.
Faja.
I can wait.
Okay, all right.
He can wait.
That's so funny.
I would put him on here, but I don't know what he'd say.
We don't have one of those, what is it, like the mute buttons? We don't have a mute button.
Yeah.
So we'll wait on that one. We'll prepare him for that.
Yes.
Get him on here. But yeah, on today's episode, man, we're going to just be talking about, we had a good little conversation about it beforehand. So this is going to be a good one, man, on just, you know, those times where God will lay something on your heart and you're like, yeah, sure, I'll do that. I don't even know how to start.
Right.
How to even go about doing it. You know, we've talked about it a little bit on here when Pastor asked me to take over the media, and I'm like, yeah, I mean, I know some stuff, but I have no idea how to do most of this stuff, you know, and learning from scratch. And that first step is the hardest.
Yeah.
And you made some good points on talking about stuff. So how do you, man, have you ever been caught in that limbo of like, okay, yeah, I needed, but like when to jump in or how to jump in? It's like,
yeah, well, it was kind of like that for my wife and I whenever they asked us to take over the hospitality part here. So it's like, for one, we didn't know anybody, and two, we didn't really know how things were done previously.
Yeah.
And so we just kind of got in and, you know, was greeting people at the door. Like, I guess this is what we'll do, and give them a little gift bag. But, you know, there's so much more to it, but it was a little overwhelming at first because it's a good sized church, you know, there's a lot of people. And, so we're just kind of now figuring things out, and, Sister Esther has helped us out tremendously with it. But yeah, it was a little overwhelming at first.
Man, I know it's always funny when y'all talk about how you like greet somebody that you think is new because you haven't seen them here. You know, maybe they've been gone for a few weeks. Like, I've been going here for
15 years. Who are you?
Like, you're the new one.
You're the new guy.
Yeah.
But it's been great. You know, people, they for the most part, everybody laughs about it.
Yeah.
You know, because I'll walk up to them like, hey, are you guys a first time visitor? Or just visiting? Like, no, my granddaddy built this church.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Well, welcome back.
Welcome back. Good to see you.
Good to see you. That is so funny. Yeah, and y'all are building on that team, right? Y'all are.
Yeah, we've got Carmen coming.
That's
the 30th,
so good.
And so we're kind of beefing that up.
Yeah.
To prepare for all the people that are going to be here. We're actually going to have a lot of people greeting and seating and just loving on people. And so after, you know, that's kind of where it's going to start. The team's going to get bigger for that.
Yeah.
And then we're going to see who kind of enjoys it and who, you know, we did the thing with the giftings and just kind of see who's feels like that's their area.
Yeah.
And then give them an opportunity to serve in that area.
Oh yeah. Man, and it was cool seeing y'all because you and Missy are both kind of shy at first glance. So it was cool to see y'all step out, and like that's a big role of you're the first ones they talk to when they walk through the door. So you can't really be shy and kind of offset.
No,
there.
it gets you out of that comfort zone.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that first step out, man. That's a rough one, man. It's hard to overcome that fear, but not even that. But once you take that first step, then you're like, oh gosh, oh no, like I'm in it now.
Then
like,
you realize how little you really know.
yeah. You're like, oh no.
Yeah. What did I agree to here?
Yep. And there's many times where we step out and we realize like, well, oh, okay, that was just me stepping out because it just falls apart. And it's like, even if you somewhat know something about what you're stepping into, it'll fall apart pretty quickly, and be like, okay, God, that was just me. That was just my flesh, telling me to move in this direction and not you. And it's kind of what happened with the media, as days went by, I started learning stuff and stuff kind of fell into place. I'm like, okay, God, this has to be you. That's the only way I can do this is because I had no idea how to do any. I mean, it was many, many late mornings of watching YouTube videos trying to learn stuff. But
and had you have known day one what all it would entail, you may not have been as eager to say, I'll do it.
Yep.
Because I know it had to have been one of those projects that just seemed like it, kept getting bigger and bigger and bigger,
Oh yeah.
But like we were talking earlier, it's kind of like it's probably a good thing you didn't know that right off the bat, because you could just get in, do what you kind of knew how to do, and then kind of learn as you were going.
Yeah.
And if like I said, if you'd have known from the beginning, it would have just seemed too overwhelming.
Yeah.
Like that's too big of a project for me. But you're handling it well. I mean, you're doing it exceedingly well. But it's the example I used earlier, and I've heard this has been around forever. But it's like if say your house is a wreck, and you just don't focus on like the whole house. I got to clean this whole house. You just focus on a room at a time. Like I want to clean the kitchen and then take care of that. And then as it's looking better, then you're motivated to kind of go into other areas of the house. Yeah. And it's the same thing. You get in, you start doing something, and then it motivates you to do more.
Yeah.
And you get comfortable in it. And then it's not so overwhelming as it appeared at the beginning.
Yeah. Man, I'm so bad at that. Bad. Like, you almost want to make a list of like, so that way you could see you're making progress. Mm-hmm. Like I am so bad. Like, my cousin Chuck always used to make fun of me because like when I'd mow the yard, I wouldn't do it, like most of y'all manly men do it. I do it like in little pieces, and I'm jumping here and then over here, or like if I'm painting a wall, instead of doing it, top and then going down, like I'll do a little bit up here and then I'll go to the bottom and do a little bit, and I'm very sporadic. So even like that, like cleaning house or doing something like that, I'm jumping around, and I'll do a few things in the bathroom, and I'm like, oh yeah, I got to do this in the kitchen. And then I'll start doing that. And I'm gonna crap out of the bedroom, and I think doing it like that, like kind of like you said, it'll help you maintain focus, but focus on the right things at the right time, and not overwhelmed. Like, oh no, I'm never gonna get this done.
Because I think you've probably found this out when you jump around like that. It's a little chaotic, and you don't really get anything accomplished. Yeah. Or not, it doesn't feel like it, because you get done and you see a little effect in a lot of areas. Yeah. Instead of just one area done.
That's good.
Done well.
That's exactly
right.
Yep.
Man, that's what because we've really dug in and tried to do, whatever we can. If somebody asks us, there's nothing worse than sitting back wanting to be involved and not being included.
Yeah.
So then whenever somebody starts including you, you're like, I don't want to say no.
Yeah.
Because I've been wanting to do something for so long. Now that I'm being asked, I want to say yes. And so then you can kind of take on too much.
Yeah.
And then so now you're caught in that trap of I've got a lot of things to do, but I'm not doing anything well.
Yeah.
And so you just want to kind of scale that back a little bit and figure out, what can I do and focus on it and do it well. I'm kind of a perfectionist. I'd rather do one thing really well than do 4 or 5 things mediocre.
Right. That's good.
But you also need people that are faceted and willing to do many things, because you don't have a person for each individual little task. So you need guys that can jump around and do.
Yeah. And that's where I was going to go, is talking about how, as you step into those things and you start learning and you start seeing progress, and God will send you bigger projects, but also send you people.
Yes.
He'll send somebody in your path. I always talk about Rob. That's just a perfect spot to get in there. And I asked him to be a part of it, and I was like, hey man, I want this to be your vision. You know all this stuff. So I just want to be here to make sure everything runs smooth, and you just go with your vision and your heart. And it gave him purpose and direction and being able to spread his wings and do what he's always known to do, but just never had that opportunity to do it.
Yeah.
And, got to put people like that in your path. And as long as you're on that right road, and you step out, he'll provide the life vest that you need. In those moments where like, okay, now I'm into territory where I have no idea what I'm doing. And I can't even, because some of this stuff, it takes like years and years to learn. Not anybody can just, hey, you're preaching tonight.
No, I'm not.
Yeah. No. It's like, it takes years to be able to, to put together a sermon or to, structure it in the right way. So he was a perfect godsend in that time, because I had no idea, especially when it came to sound. I was like, oh my goodness, I'm so out of my, and it takes people years and years to learn how to do all this stuff. And, his heart was in the right spot, and me stepping out and doing whatever God wanted me to do. When Pastor asked me, I said, Pastor, whatever you need done, wherever hole you need filled, that's what I'm here for. And me being able to step out, and God sent Rob right smack dab in my crosshairs, and just being able to watch him really do his thing and have the freedom to do that. It's awesome. And we do it together, man. It's so awesome. It's so fun. But yeah. And I think that's what God's going to do for y'all with the,
there's already been several people step up. What's the guy that helps up here with the sound with you? Donnie and his wife, is it Mandy? They wanted to be a part of it. Chris and Terry, they want to be a part of it also. And so there's been several people sign up and they want to help to starting with this concert, but I think it'll carry over into just every Sunday morning.
Yeah. And it's cool to watch that, because people will see you and they'll see the heart that you and Missy have putting into that, and they'll say, okay, I want to be a part of that. Because people, hey, we need help in this area. They'll look at that area and go, that area it's kind of a mess right now. I don't want to be a part of that.
Yeah.
But they'll see people feeding into that ministry and say, okay, yes, I'd love to be a part of that. I feel, if you feel led to do something and it's just a disaster, like, I'm not about to step in that craziness. Like very few people have that mentality of, I'm going to take it over and build it to something good. Most people want to come to something that's established and then be able to help build it up from there.
Right. Like LeBron James.
That's exactly. Preach that. Oh my goodness. Preach. That is we're going to make some people mad. Well, what? LeBron's the greatest. You're right. Yep. They want to step into greatness and then, move from there.
I didn't mean to throw you off.
Man, that was good. That was a great point. We could have ended right there. But yeah, and it happens so many times like that in our life and in our walk, or I can't stand when people say, oh, I'm not called into the ministry. Like, we're all called into the ministry in one way or another.
Absolutely.
Whether it's greeting people, whether it's mopping the floors, or helping build a website, or preaching the word, or it's everything that we do is a ministry in one form or another, and people are very scared to step out and step into that calling, whatever God has for them. That's one thing I like about the little test that we took.
Yes,
to be able to kind of show you your strengths and weaknesses, and kind of where your personality fits. And you can kind of go from there, but it really is daunting to step into that and to say, oh my goodness, I don't even know where to start. Yeah. Oh, God calls me, it's called me into hospital ministry, but like, how do I get started with that? Like how do I find out who needs,
right.
It's very hard to get the ball rolling. Once it's rolling, it's easy to pick up momentum, but it's hard to get it rolling.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. How do I get this going? I mean, I know pastors had to, just watching certain areas be birthed, Jeremiah house and, all these things be birthed. I can only imagine when people had it laid on their heart to start those things, okay, but where do we start? That sounds great. That's great. Yeah. Heck yeah. That sounds good. Where do we start?
Mm-hmm.
How do you go about getting this going? So I can imagine he'd have a lot of input in how to step out, how to just start it, just begin and then go from there and see what, God's going to provide for you.
Mm-hmm.
The Bible says he's the author and the finisher of our faith. Many times we say, okay, God, I know you have a plan, but I'm here in the middle of it. And I don't trust where I'm going because it doesn't look right.
Yeah.
I'm going to finish it. I'm the finisher of your faith, not just the author, but.
And it's probably never going to look like we think it's going to look.
Yeah.
That's one of the things God's showed me time and time again is what I tend to pray for and what I think things should do, how they should look. Rarely is that his vision.
Yeah.
It's like I'm kind of headed in the right direction, but it's normally not what I think it's going to be.
Mm-hmm. It's like the end result, God will lay on your heart and you're like, oh, okay, I know how I'm going to get there. And it's like, no, that's not
it.
That's not the end result's going to be that. I gave that to you. I gave that idea to you, but the path there is going to be so different because you've got to grow along the way.
Yes.
If I just showed you the end result and boom, you got an easy path there like that, there's no growing in that. You seen it, you went for it and that's it. It's like, no, I've got to take you to where you begin to doubt or you begin to see things around you where, God, there's no way. I'm going to make it there. I know you told me I'm going to be there, but there's no way.
Right. And I think that's the way we are meant to feel is that there's no way I can do this apart from God.
Yep.
And when we stay in that sweet spot, then we can do amazing things for him because it's when we start relying on our own strengths and our own wisdom or our own whatever is whenever we kind of make a mess of things. I want to stay in a spot where I know I can't do it on my own and I have to have the Lord to provide for me.
Yep. Oh yeah. That's like you said, it's that sweet spot, man, of just God, I'm
it's not a fun spot.
No.
It's not a comfortable spot sometimes.
No.
But it's the best place to be. For sure.
It's like, God, I'm not enough, but you made me enough, Right. Many times we're one or the other. We say, God, I could do this on my own, or we say, God, I'm just unworthy, so I'm not even going to try. It's like, no, I made you worthy, let's go. We do it together. That's the beautiful thing is.
Well, it's easy to fall back on your own strengths.
Yeah.
Because it's just like the disciples, when Christ was crucified and then ascended, it's like a lot of them went back to fishing.
Yeah. 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 That's where he found them at.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like, well, that didn't work. Go back to fish, go back to what I do.
Yeah.
And he's like, what are y'all doing? Why are you fishing?
Yep.
I've been teaching you these things and you're not getting it.
Yeah. That's good.
I called you to do something else. And I was kind of at a crossroads with, I love what I do. I love working with my hands. I love, building showers and doing flooring and I love doing that kind of stuff. But I've hit a place where I believe the Lord's calling me to do something else.
Yeah.
It's a wonderful gift and a talent that he's blessed me with, but I want to do more. I think I know that I can glorify him in those things.
Yeah.
But I just think there's much more that he has for me.
Yeah.
And so I don't want to just fall back on what I know I can do.
Yeah.
Because it doesn't require me to rely on him.
That's
you
good.
know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so that's just really where I'm at. But then, doors also have to open. And sometimes that's a really scary place because you don't know, well, Lord, if I'm not doing that, then what am I doing? Who am I?
Yeah.
Outside of that, what am I outside of that?
Yeah.
This is what I've done forever. So how do I go forward without being what I was?
Yeah. That's good. And I think a lot of people struggle with that, man, is they identify themselves in where they're at. I work at this factory and that's just all I've known. So I can't leave that because that's all I know.
Mm-hmm.
Or, people that maybe are newly saved. And it's like, man, but that crowd I used to party with or the people I used to hang out with, like that's my only friends. Like, what am I going to do now?
Right.
I can go hang out with them and not do the same thing. It's like, no, you've got to re-identify yourself in who Christ is and who he says you are. Mm-hmm. We tie ourselves so many times to these earthly things, and that's what we see ourselves as. When we look in the mirror, that's what we see. We see our job, we see our family and our kids, and God's like, I've got so much more for you than just that. You know, those things are great, and those things can help propel you. But I've got something great for you. If you just trust me, just dare to trust me and dare to step out when I say, okay, it's time to shift and time to go this way. You know, you hear about all these great preachers or evangelists or these amazing men and women of God that one day they decided, okay, I don't know how it's going to happen, but I just got to step out. Mm-hmm. And you see God just take them in such amazing directions.
Yeah, well, just like our pastor's story.
Yep.
You know, he was in the middle of had a big job going on, yep. And he's like, Lord called him to preach again, and he said, like, I'm not coming back to work.
Yep.
And that to me is terrifying.
Yeah, because
we have bills you got to pay.
Yep.
And so it's like if God's calling you out to do something, I mean, I encourage you to do it, but I understand also the fear in it.
Yeah.
You know, my wife is at a place where she loves her job. She has a great job down here, but it's not what she's called to do. She's called to preach the word.
Yeah.
And so she's uncomfortable there. Not really uncomfortable, just she's unfulfilled.
Yeah.
You know, because it's not that she's being disobedient. It's just the door is not open for her to preach right now. And so she's just kind of in this wilderness phase right now. And I see it being tough for her because God's promised her this, and God is, people have prophesied over her life and said, you're going to speak to thousands of women, and you're going to impact hurting and abused women. And you're going to, they've spoken these things, and these are, God's going to do these things, but it's like when and where and how, and so it's in that gap of the word being spoken or being received to actually walking in it is where that's what you were talking about, that growth process.
Yeah.
What do I need to learn? Because God is going to groom you and prepare you to be put on that stage so that he shines through you.
Yeah.
And that everything you do, everything you put your hand to prospers and is effective because he has prepared you for that day.
Yeah.
And so it's like, I want to learn what I'm supposed to learn, and let's get on with it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, Lord, I'm ready. I'm ready now. And he'll say, no, you're not, it's like, you almost want to force doors open and kind of, you want to make it happen because God told you that's what you're going to do, but you also got to wait for his timing.
Yeah.
And it's tough. It's tough for a lot of people.
Yeah, it is. It is. I remember, being at a small church in Malden. It was kind of our first, me and my wife together, our first youth pastoring. It wasn't even a job. It was just, they needed somebody there, and 5 youth in a back room that's kind of built off of the kitchen at this little bitty church, and having 3 to 5 youth on a Wednesday night helped me and her build our faith, but also perfect my craft of speaking. It's because if I would have just started with this huge, I used to fumble around and not know, not have a structure to my message and kind of not know where I'm going and kind of just ramble on, and none of it fit together, and there was no point. And so God used that time of just intimacy with a few youth of learning my craft and being able to put these things together and be able to speak and being able to make a point and make stories that lead into points and make it interesting for them. So God will use those times of quiet, of wilderness, and of just those times where you're like, God, where are you, or where is this going? He'll use that to help you build what he's got for you. You won't understand it until you get into that. Yeah. You step into that call and you go, okay, I could see how this helped me lead to this, and this helped me lead to this, and it's so much easier. Like we always say, it's so much easier said than done when, it's easier for somebody that's not in the wilderness anymore to go, hey, it's okay. I know it sucks out there. I know you're thirsty, but this water over here it's great. You'll be here eventually. It's okay. Yeah. And it's easy to say that, but it really is, man. It that's the time of building. So if you're stuck in the middle there where, you've got to call, you're not where you was, but you're not where you're going to be, realize that, okay, there's some building I need to be doing. There's some learning and some stretching that has to go on right there. And just like I said, he is the author and the finisher of our faith. So just stand firm on that. I always say the opposite of faith is sight. We don't see it. God, I don't see it happening. I know you said it, but I don't see it. Mm-hmm. And, I could just imagine him just shaking. It's just like, I told you it's going to happen. Like, it's going to happen. It's okay. I always talk about Noah and building the ark and how, just imagine how many of the trees that he built that ark with that weren't even true. They were seeds when he first started.
Yeah.
And just imagine like, wait, I'm supposed to build this big thing. I don't even have the lumber to do it. I don't even have the materials. Like there's no way this is going to happen. Yeah. But God is going to provide. Awesome. He's going to put something right there that you're going to need, but it's just going to take some time. And you're going to be able to use that thing that took time and nurturing. And he's going to use it in a major way. So Missy, that's for you. I'm telling you, God is building. You may not see it. You may struggle right now, but he is building you. And you're going to look back on it and go, okay, I see what that was for. I see what that time, that gap time was for. And I see, God, I see what you did. Just building my faith and being able to step out and say, God, you know what? Because at the end of it, you're going to be so much, your faith is going to be so built that when things come at you, you're going to say, man, this is right into my word that I've got for Wednesday. You're going to be so rooted in that faith because you've been through it. You've been through it and been through it and been through it, that as other things come up, you're like, it's all good. Like she kind of talked about Jamie, just being steadfast and being like, I mean, it's all good. We'll get through it because we've been through it and had to struggle and fight and claw and scratch just to get where we are. And so that's why she's my rock, because she's been living through hell her whole life, and now it's like this is nothing. Like this problem is nothing. Like I've been through much worse, so I see just Missy coming out. They think she's fiery now. Wait till just wait.
Right,
man. I still remember that little room, dude. It was probably a little bit bigger than our desk here. It was just this little closet room and that was where, I learned to read the word. I learned to study. I learned to be able to as I'm given the words, to see the reactions and to okay, I know what catches them and what doesn't. And that's what helps me on Wednesday nights when I'm up here talking to kids, is those little times in that little bitty closet of putting this together, man. It's,
and that's the thing people don't see when you watch a preacher on TV or somebody that's written books, and you think, man, they've always had it that way. It's always been that way. But I guarantee you they have a backstory of that little room or that little place where they struggled and they doubted, and then they overcome, and they went through all these things to get them to where they are now. That anything that, God allows us to go through, trials and tests and all these things, it's going to be for our good. When it tells us to rejoice, and no one wants to rejoice at a trial, man. But there's so much that work that is done within us that is going to be beneficial for us in the outcome that we need that.
That's good. That is a good word.
Man, so what are you going to do tonight?
Tonight we got band practice, so we're gonna practice out. I'm pretty excited about that. Praise and worship practice.
Beat the drums.
Yep. I'm hoping. I've been praying for a drummer to come and be back there every Wednesday with us, so that I can kind of step away from that. I mean, that's my worship. That's a big part of how I worship. I didn't even think about this kind of being exactly what, like, who am I if I'm not worshiping in that way? I mean, I've done it for so long, but that way I can step away from that and be with the kids during worship and work the altars and not have to worry about, being a part of the praise and worship, but be able to be in the praise and worship. So that's where I've been as of late, is just praying that God sends somebody to be back there and play the drums, so that I could step out of that comfort zone and step into a new season of where I could really focus on giving the word. And
because I always wondered how that was for you to be back there and kind of tied up with that, and then like thinking, man, I really want to get down there at the altars with these kids, or I really need to grab that mic and say something. You can't really drum one-handed and talk into the mic. That's exactly. I mean, you probably could if anybody could.
No,
you'd end up hitting the mic on the snare.
Get my hands mixed up. I'm talking to the stick, and that's funny. Because it's
but that'll be. I can see that being good and good for your youth and good for you too.
Yeah, because it is. It's hard, like in between songs where the Holy Spirit's working on you now. I got to get out of the cage and I got to stop playing and get back there, and it becomes too much of a distraction to where I don't want to upset what God is trying to do by me having to get up there, and so it'd just be a whole lot easier.
He'll send you a drummer.
That's right. Yeah.
Yep.
Oh yeah. Me and Rob have been praying. We got one in our cross site, so we're hoping that God will. We don't know if that's who God is going to send, but we both kind of
think
felt
it'd be
that,
a good
so,
fit.
Yeah. So
Good.
we'll see, man. I'm excited for what God's doing back there. Hunter, that kid took the microphone last week at the end of service, like, hey, I got something on my heart, and just got all the youth. We had 40 youth last week. Got them all in a circle and just started speaking life into it. It was all. I mean, when someone gets it and gets a microphone, they begin to speak, and you could tell like they're just standing firm on God's word and just got boldness, and he just was going ham. It was awesome. So being able to step back and watch these youth begin to open up like that and them take leadership, man, it was awesome. It was so good. And so many of them are doing that, Connor and Gracie, and so many of them are taking that lead role back there. We have a group of teens that said we want to step up and be leaders of the youth. So, man, it's just so cool. It's so awesome. Yeah.
It's encouraging.
Yep. And we got plans coming really soon that I can't talk about yet, but it's going to be awesome.
Yeah, I haven't even heard about them yet. So
gonna be awesome.
I know you've always got something fresh.
Oh yeah. Got to keep those under wraps.
All right. Well, hey, thank you guys for joining us. This has been another Almost Brothers podcast with Michael and Jeremiah. Remember, if you don't have a home church, come check us out at the Lighthouse in Dexter, 10 o'clock inside, 8:30 on the parking lot. We love y'all.